So if you plan on selling your home in 2026, stop scrolling, please, for just a moment and listen very, very carefully, because I'm about to give you some advice that has the potential to make you additional thousands or even tens of thousands or even more in terms of dollars on your home sale. So if you're still operating like it's 2021, you are in trouble, my friend. But the good news is that there are massive opportunities in this market, provided you know exactly which levers to pull. And that's what we're talking about today. So I'm real estate broker Leah Courage. I've sold hundreds of homes in Washington State along with my husband, John. And today I'm going to walk you through 10 things that you must know if you're selling in 2026. And at the end of this video, I'm even going to give you a special secret bonus that really only real estate brokers know about, and they guard it with their lives because it's such an important element to the timing of selling homes. So let's just go ahead and dive in now. So number one, we are officially in a more balanced market than we were over the last several years. And you need to understand the math behind what this means. So in real estate economics, we measure the health of a market by something that's called the months of supply. So that's essentially how long it would take to sell every single house on the market if no new homes were listed. So back in the frenzy of 2020 through 2022, the COVID crazy days, as I like to call it, we were operating with less than 3 months of supply. So that meant if no new listings appeared, then everything would be sold out in weeks, which created panic buying that everybody remembers and their eye twitches when they think about. But in 2026, inventory has risen significantly, and we're actually firmly in the 4 to 6 months of supply range at the moment. And that's the best definition of a balance. So what this means for you as a seller is that there are now enough homes for the numbers of buyers out there. So buyers have choices. And when buyers have choices, they're not panicking anymore, at least not about home selection. So this kind of a shift has actually killed the concept for buyers of FOMO, or the fear of missing out. So in 2026, the mindset is defined by a new, slightly silly acronym that I want you to memorize, which is FOOP. Buyers have the fear of overpaying. It sounds ridiculous, but it's so true. So with interest rates settling in the 6% range, buyers are mathematically totally capped on what they can actually afford. Prices have doubled and interest rates have gone way up. So they're terrified of buying a depreciating asset or being underwater if prices dip at some point. So even if you're priced as a seller, say 5% too high, you won't even get lowball offers to start a negotiation. You're not going to get anything. You're just going to get silence and no showings. So this also introduces the Freshness Penalty, as I like to call it. So the algorithms that power Zillow and Redfin actually punish stale listings a lot more severely than they ever did before. So your golden window of listing is days 0 through 14. That's it. And especially once you go beyond that and you hit day 21, if you haven't sold, buyers actually assume that something is very wrong with the house and they don't even go to see it. So this exposes the quote, testing the market trap. I like my quotations for sure. Testing the market. So if you list at say 850,000 when you shouldn't, when in reality your house is worth a lot closer to 800, and you just want to see if you can get those few extra $1,000s from it, and then a couple weeks later you're not getting any showings, and then you drop it to 800,000. Buyers smell desperation, and guess what? They're not going to offer you 8. They're going to offer 750 or 780. So they see that price drop as a notification that you are bleeding out, even if you're not. But that's the way buyers are going to see it. So if you had just listed the home at $800,000 on day 1, for example, you might have generated multiple bids during that golden window of 0 to 14 days on the market, and you might have sold your house for even over what you listed it for, maybe even $815. So you have to realize that you're actually competing with new build incentives right down the street when builders are buying down buyers' rates from say 6 or 6.5% down to 5.5%. You cannot be the expensive used option on the block when the shiny new option is actually cheaper month by month. Number 2, you need to know the new Washington state rental laws because they are legally dangerous for you if you're a seller. So if your home is currently a rental, you must pay close attention because Washington has implemented a strict new tenant protections law that are now statewide laws thanks to House Bill 1217. So this isn't just a Seattle rule anymore. This applies whether you're living in Spokane or Tacoma or Vancouver or wherever. There is a specific rent increase cap for 2026, and the number that you need to know is 9.68%. This number actually isn't random. It's based on the CPI, or the Consumer Price Index, plus 7%. And for 2026, that math lands us at 9.683%. So in the past, sellers with low-paying tenants would just raise the rent by, say, 50% to force the tenant out before they listed their home. But that is now effectively illegal. So even more critical is the just cause, love my little quotations, eviction trap under RCW 59.18.650. That means that you can't simply tell a tenant, your lease is up, so leave so that I can sell. Because in Washington, all leases automatically convert to month indefinitely unless you have a just cause, quote unquote, to end the leases. So while intent to sell is a valid cause, you actually have to serve a formal 90-day notice of your intent to sell, and that 90-day clock does not start until you legally serve the perfectly correct legal form to your tenants. So here's the real kicker. If the tenant moves out and you do not list the home for sale within 30 days of their departure, it's presumed that as a landlord, you acted in bad faith, and that means that the tenant can sue you for wrongful eviction, claiming up to 3 months' rent plus legal fees. Don't think that they won't do it also. They're getting pretty ballsy. So this means that you cannot use this notice just to get an empty house or renovate for 6 months or to move a family member in, because those require completely different notices with different timelines. So because of the high stakes, the dominant strategy for 2026 is cash for keys, where you actually pay the tenant to sign a mutual termination agreement. This agreement actually supersedes the just cause laws because the tenant is voluntarily agreeing to leave the property, and that minimizes the risk of a lawsuit. So it sounds expensive to pay a tenant $3,000 or say $5,000 just to leave your property, but compared to a wrongful eviction lawsuit or paying your mortgage for 4 months while you wait for a court date, it's actually the cheapest money that you're ever going to spend. So listen, we know that this is a lot of heavy information to digest, and honestly, the rules of engagement really do seem to be changing pretty much every single month. So if you're sitting there feeling a little overwhelmed, or if you just want to see the actual math on what your home is worth in this specific market in 2026, we're here to help you out. Don't go at this alone. We have put together a comprehensive 2026 Washington Sellers Toolkit, and that includes a net proceeds calculator that's specifically updated for the new graduated excise tax rates, a checklist for safe and sound pre-inspections that we're going to talk about a little later, and a template for that seller concession strategy. So it's all completely free, by the way, and it's designed to give you the hard data that you need in order to make a decision without the guesswork. So you can email us and get it for free completely. Our contact information is below, and trust me, you're going to want that checklist, especially for the legal section that we're covering next. So let's get back into it. Number 3, pre-inspections are the new, very solid standard protocol, in my opinion. So this strategy is your insurance policy, because in 2021, when buyers were waiving inspections just to get a foot in the door, in 2026, buyers are 100% looking for a reason to back out or to renegotiate, and we are seeing a record number of contracts actually ending prematurely with buyers backing out. So the data's there for this. So a pre-inspection is your best defense against the quote second negotiation trap that buyers love to bring up in the middle. So like with our buyers, what we say is, let's get under contract and then let's go ahead and negotiate a second time during the inspection period. Contract, inspection period, appraisal. Those are really your 3 negotiating points. So imagine for a second that you accept an offer, for example, for $800,000, but 10 days later, the buyer's inspector finds a failed heat exchanger and some plumbing leaks. And scared by the report, the buyer demands an additional $25,000 price cut, or they walk. And because inventory is higher, they will walk. So if that happens, your house goes back on the market with a quote, back on the market scarlet letter, and future buyers are going to assume that something is terribly, terribly wrong with your house. So by doing a pre-inspection for roughly, say, $500, you can fix the cheap deal killers right up front. And I'm talking about things like insurability issues such as active water leaks or old electrical panels that are total fire hazards or water heaters that are, say, missing earthquake straps, believe it or not. Fix these things and you keep the receipts, then you can present a trust package, if you will, which is a binder at your open house showing all the work that you've just done. So this signals to buyers that the house has no secrets, which then encourages them to write cleaner offers and prevents that 11th hour price reduction that tends to kill so many deals. So in Western Washington specifically, you absolutely must also do a sewer scope if your home was built before 1980. Roots growing into the lines and collapsed lines are extremely common, and a $15,000 sewer repair bill is 100% one of the leading reasons that deals die in the inspection phase in Washington state. So find the issues first, fix them on your terms, or disclose it up front so that the buyer prices it in from day one. Number 4, staging is absolutely critical again, and you need to understand the empty room optical illusion. So in a shortage, empty houses are sold just fine, but in a balanced market like what we're in, vacant homes tend to sit, actually, believe it or not, longer. It's counterintuitive, but empty rooms actually look smaller than furnished ones because the buyer has no reference for scale. So without furniture, a buyer literally walks into a 12 by 12 bedroom and they think that their queen bed isn't going to fit in there. But if you put a queen bed in there, then they instantly see that it fits with room to spare. So in a vacant home, the eye actually has nowhere to rest but on the imperfections like the scratched floor and the uneven paint. So furniture actually distracts the eye and it sells the potential of the room. So if you're on a budget, follow the 3-room rule and focus your physical staging dollars on the living room and the primary bedroom and the kitchen. So these are the emotional centers of the home where buyers tend to make their decisions. So for the 2026 vibe, millennial gray is actually out. Thank goodness, too much gray, and the cream and the warmth is back in style. So use natural woods, use lighter colors, and use natural fabrics like boucle to make the home feel organic and lived in. And don't forget scent marketing. So a subtle, say, white tea or cedar scent signals that the home is clean and it's cared for. Much better than any heavy floral freshener like Glade. Please don't use the Glade plugins. Please, please, please don't use those because those just scream, I'm covering up some kind of a smell. So if you can't afford to do full staging, then do vignette staging. So place a cookbook and some lemons in the kitchen or a luxury soap dispenser and some fluffy white towels in the bathroom. It doesn't have to break the bank, I promise you, but these little micro investments completely prevent the home from feeling totally abandoned, and they actually give the home some warmth and the buyers some perspective on what the home could look like for them. Number 5, you need to understand, and this is great for you, that agent commissions have been decoupled. There I go again with the quotation marks. So following the major National Association of Realtors lawsuit and the settlement, you're no longer required to pay the buyer's agent commission, but offering a concession is still highly recommended. I highly, highly, highly recommend it, and I'm going to explain why. So here's the reality. In a market with 6.5% interest rates, buyers are cash poor, but they're income rich. So what that means is they've saved just enough for, say, the down payment. And if you force them to pay their own agent, say another $20,000 out of their pocket, they literally can't buy your house a lot of the time. So by not offering a concession, you're creating, honestly, an invisible filter that screens out either 60 or 70% or even more of the potential buyer pool, including first-time buyers and veterans using VA loans, especially my wonderful veterans. So the strategic move is to list a seller concession of roughly, say, 2% or 2.5%, which then puts the power in the buyer's hands to use that money for their agent or to buy down their interest rate. So this is now a negotiation lever for you. So if a buyer asks, say, for 3%, you can counter with a 2% concession. It gives you flexibility in the way that, honestly, we never really had before. Also, be very careful about attracting unrepresented buyers who come without an agent just to save on some bucks, because these buyers honestly have usually no idea how to navigate inspections or title work, and it forces your agent to do double the work for the same amount of pay, which creates a lot of friction, and it honestly increases the chance of the deal falling apart 3 days before closing. You want a vetted and represented buyer on the other side. And the other risk is if you have an unrepresented buyer, they will oftentimes start to think that your agent is their agent, and that creates a massive conflict of interest. Just don't do it. Get some represented buyers. Price your home right, stage it beautifully, and the right ones will come. I promise. So number 6, the right sizing trend is the massive one that you need to market towards. So the McMansion craze of the 90s and the early 2000s has actually cooled. And thanks to the silver tsunami of baby boomers that are downsizing, we're seeing a huge flood of large, older homes hitting the market. And at the same time, builders have pivoted to smaller footprints in order to keep prices viable with the higher interest rates that we have now. So if you own a smaller home, say under 2,000 square feet, then you used to be at a disadvantage, but now you actually have a very competitive edge. So you want to market your home as being optimized for 2026 living with lower energy bills and lower taxes and less weekend maintenance, because buyers are, trust me, with every single dollar calculating monthly operating costs just as much as they're calculating their mortgage payment. They're looking for efficiency. So if your home has a heat pump or a new insulation, shout about it, advertise the monthly utility savings and not just the hardware. Go ahead and mention the Energy Star rating that your house has. So buyers in 2026 are looking at the price per square foot of living in the house and not just buying it. So if you have, say, a drought-tolerant yard or xeriscaping, go ahead and market that as a low water bill and zero mowing landscaping. These are practical and pretty huge for buyers' financial benefits that tend to be what close deals in a high inflation environment. Number 7 is the work from home requirement. So it's evolved into permanent infrastructure. So it's no longer just about, say, tossing a desk into a corner, because buyers in 2026 view a home without a dedicated workspace as functionally obsolete. So we're seeing a massive trend called the Cloffice, or the closet office, where you take, say, a standard reach-in closet and you remove the doors and you install, say, deep floating shelving with hardwired lighting. So it turns a storage space into a value-add feature that tells the buyer, yes, you can work here and you can still have a guest room. So you also need to highlight the tech specs of your home. So internet speed is a utility that is just as important as electrical or water pressure at this point. So if you have a hardwired, say, Ethernet ports or modern mesh Wi-Fi system, then put a card on the kitchen counter advertising it. Don't stage a spare bedroom just with a queen bed right in the middle. Go ahead and push a day bed, say, against the wall and dedicate a prime spot near the window with a substantial desk to show that it could be potential office space. Also, you need to consider the acoustics. So if you have, say, solid core doors on the office or sound dampening panels, then mention that in the listing. Buyers are actively visualizing their Zoom calls, and they need to know that they won't hear the dishwasher or the kids screaming while they're trying to work. Visual separation along with acoustic privacy are seriously a new luxury in homes. So this leads me quite organically into number 8, which is that you need to market for multi-generational appeal. So because housing costs are extremely high these days, more and more families are living together, which creates the sandwich generation phenomenon where you have grandparents, parents, and kids all under one roof, which honestly I've done before and I absolutely loved it. So if your home has a basement with, say, a separate entrance or a first floor bedroom with a full bath, don't call it a rec room. Market it aggressively as an in-law suite or a lower level apartment with a private entry. This is a top search filter in 2026. So if you can show ADU potential or accessory dwelling unit potential, then you're effectively selling the buyer an income stream right along with the house. Buyers are specifically typing ADU, guest house, and separate entrance into Zillow. So if your agent doesn't tick those boxes in the MLS and write them down in the first sentence of the description, then you're invisible to all of those buyers and you're losing money. Trust me. So highlight the no-step entries or the wide hallways if you have them, because these are also crucial for aging parents. Or even a kitchenette or a wet bar in the basement can be the tipping point that makes the buyer see the house hacking potential that your home has. And then they realize that they can rent that space out for, say, $1,800 a month to help subsidize their mortgage. Lots of different opportunities here, but the point is, if you have a space like that, you're needing to advertise it heavily. Number 9. So this is the Assumable mortgage goldmine. So if you're one of the millions of Americans who locked in a mortgage rate between 2 and 3% during the pandemic, specifically an FHA or a VA loan, you are holding a financial instrument that is incredibly valuable. So with rates around 6.5%, the difference in monthly payments between our old rate and the new rates right now can be over $1,000 a month, way over it, in fact. So buyers will absolutely pay a premium for your home to get their hands on a 2.75% rate. However, there is a catch called the appraisal gap. So the buyer only assumes your existing loan balance. So if your home is worth, say, again, $800,000 and you owe $500,000, then the buyer has to bring that additional $300,000 to close the gap. So this limits your pool to more cash-heavy buyers. But for those buyers, your home is the best deal on the market. So just be careful if you have a VA loan, because you need to ensure that the buyer is also a veteran who can substitute their entitlement for yours. Otherwise, your VA benefit gets tied up in that house for 30 years. You don't want that. Also, be prepared for servicer absolute hell when you're trying to do this. Mortgage servicers do not make money on assumptions, so they absolutely drag their feet. A standard deal closes in about 30 days, but a loan assumption can take anywhere between 90 to 120 or even more days. So you have to be relentless with the paperwork and pushing the lender in order to get these across the finish line. But I have a deal going right now with a buyer assuming a 2.75% loan. It is VA. They're extremely happy, so it does work out, I promise you. So number 10, we need to talk about negotiating rent backs, because if you need to sell before you buy your next home, staying in your home for up to, say, 60 days after closing is quite common, but you need to prepare yourself for sticker shock. And what I mean by this is that most sellers assume that a fair rent back price is their current mortgage payment rate, but the buyer also needs to cover their own mortgage payment, which is going to be most likely significantly higher than yours. So your payment might be $2,200 a month, but their new payment at the higher rate might be $4,800 a month. So that gap is real money, and you need to budget for it when you're doing your net proceeds worksheet before you accept their offer. Also, remember the hard limit. You generally can't stay longer than 59 days, because if you stay for day 60, the lender can and will classify the home as an investment property, which absolutely spikes the buyer's interest rate and effectively can kill the deal. If it's a cash buyer, doesn't matter at all. But most offers right now aren't, so you need to prepare for this. Also, negotiating a flat fee concession for your possession time period after closing is usually a way smoother way to handle this than fighting over a daily rate. Flat fee. Also, be aware of the escrow holdback. So buyers in 2026 are usually terrified of squatters due to the eviction laws that we just discussed. Makes sense, right? So a lot of the time they're going to demand that, say, $10,000 or $20,000 of your proceeds is held by the escrow company until you vacate. So if you leave the house messy or you damage the walls moving out, then they're going to use that money to fix it. And they'll probably additionally, speaking of that, require a pretty hefty security deposit, which feels really strange to pay a security deposit on a home that you've been living in for, say, 10 or 15 or 20 years. It's just weird, but expect it because buyers are going to want it. So again, you need to leave the house in exactly the same condition that it was at closing in order for the buyers to be happy. Now, I know I promised you a secret bonus, and this is the one strategy that most real estate agents will guard very heavily because it's their secret weapon. Secret weapon. Did I just say that? Secret weapon to manufacturing a lot of interest in a balanced market. It's called the Tuesday launch protocol. So a lot of sellers will actually make the mistake of listing their home on a Friday in order to be ready for the weekend. Don't do that because it's a mistake, because when you list on a Friday, then just one home in a sea of notifications. So the secret strategy is to actually list your home on Tuesday morning. And here's why. So by listing on Tuesday, you actually hit the hot sheets that real estate agents read at their desks on Wednesday morning while they're planning their weekend tours for their clients. So it gives the algorithm 3 full days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, to accumulate views and saves and shares on Zillow and Redfin. And then by the time Friday rolls around, your home has built up a massive amount of digital momentum, and it appears as the must-see anchor of their weekend tour. So if you list on a Friday, you miss that entire planning window. So combine this strategy with a specific offer review date for the following Tuesday, and then, in theory, you can create the perfect 7-day urgency loop that forces buyers to act on your timeline and not theirs. So it's this simple kind of shift in timing that can result in, say, even 20% more foot traffic. And believe me, in 2026, traffic equals offers. And I want you to get all the offers and make all of the money that you possibly can. So thank you so much for watching our list of 10. And listen, selling a home in Washington in 2026 is a very complex operation with legal landmines and a lot of financial nuances that just didn't exist a few years ago. But if you price your home right and you prep it right and you navigate these new rules with a strategy, then you can walk away with a massive win. So don't forget to grab that seller's toolkit from us. Go ahead and email us for it. We'd love to help you out. And we will help you run the numbers, by the way. If you're thinking of selling or buying a home in Washington State or anywhere else in the United States for that matter, please reach out to us. We would love to be of service in helping you make your next move with the utmost of confidence. So thank you again so much for watching. Keep exploring, and we will see you in the next video.